So Tyson got in there and got a job done. It wasn't smooth, wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. There are questions that to be asked. So now you think about what his dad said and his family said, his brother, his wife, and everybody said, why are you boxing again? Why is he boxing again? Hello and welcome to That Boxing Show with me, Johnny Nelson. The week, what a weekend it was. I don't know where to start. Let me start at the very beginning. So, down at Tottenham Stadium, Tyson Fury against Makhmudov. There was a build-up slowly but surely. We got the fight in. I gather it looked full, but we'll talk about that in a little while. What made me smile was I looked ringside. I saw Eddie. I saw AJ. I saw Frank. I saw Benn sat somewhere 3 or 4 rows back. I don't know why I couldn't get in front. That's what I saw. And there was, amongst them was Junior, Chris Junior. And I just laughed. Mike Junior was sat there and he was on his phone with a big smirk on his face because on his right you had Eddie there who looked like a jilted girlfriend and her best mate sat next to him. And then on his left there was Frank 2 or 3 rows down, and both these guys, Chris showed no fear in regards to expressing what he thinks of these guys, and they had to sit amongst each other. So Turkey Al Sheikh, I give it you, because what you've done is you've put all these little squabblers in a pot together in front of a camera, and they had to sit there and behave themselves. And I just wonder what things were whispered or mumbled amongst themselves, or what they thought. And even Chris kind of rubbed it in a bit more. I saw him, he put it on his Instagram, him and AJ had 1 or 2 words, and AJ was trying to, I'm talking to you, but don't let him see, because AJ kept his face straight. Yeah. And Chris knew what he was doing. I found it funny watching that because I thought Turkey knows what he's doing. Turkey knows he's trying to stir the pot. And just have a rewind, look at it again. And you see him all sat there, and Eddie's just looking like that, and Frank's keeping his face straight, and Chris has got a smirk on his face like that. I thought, we haven't even started yet. But yes, it was interesting to see. And you know what? It's just refreshing because now the big boys are getting it amongst themselves. The big boys are getting it, having to squabble amongst themselves rather than the lions being bullied by the sheep. So yeah, it was interesting. So Turkey, good move, great shot. Let's get to the boxing. Fraser Clark against Huni. I thought before this fight, I thought that's a big shout. That's a big shout for Fraser, but it's a shout of a fighter that thinks, you know, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take these fights. Fraser went in there. I thought he looked in brilliant condition. I've never seen him look so well. I thought his pace was excellent. No, his pace had improved from what I'd previously seen. He'd been working alongside Joe Gallagher. Joe's been trying to instill certain fundamentals in him that he needs in a fight. I think Joe's corner work was spot on. I think Huni, the shots he was throwing to the body, it's letting him go and slinging him in, showed the conditioning of Fraser, what he needed to think, I've got to put in my best here. Anyway, we'll go through it, and there were shots were taken, and Fraser showed he could take a shot to the chin, he showed he could take shots to the body, he showed he was durable, he showed he wasn't as vulnerable as what I thought he was, because after the Wardy thought, I thought he needs to jack in. But then, I can remember, I think it was round 8, Joe said to Fraser, listen, I've got you 2 rounds down. This is about your career, son. You know, dig in. Don't leave it. Don't leave it here. Leave it in the ring. Get on with it. Dig in. Fraser didn't have the gears. He didn't have the world-class gears to do that. Even though it was a good shout, a brave shout to fight Huni, I just didn't think he had the gears. And now it's left me thinking he hasn't got the gears. I think that's the level he's at. He's not going to get it better. I love Fraser. I rate Fraser. He's a bad man. I rate him. But I just don't think he's got world-class gears to take him any higher than what he is. Because after that, who did we see? We saw Richard Riakporhe against Jamie TKV. Richard knocked TKV out in 5 rounds. From dot, Richard went in there and bullied TKV. And he was letting that right hand go with a trigger. I'm like, wow, where's that come from? Because I knew as a cruiserweight, he just won't let the shots go. Now we understand. I look at him and think, how the hell did you make cruiserweight? He's a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight through and through. I asked him, would you consider bridgeweight? He went, no, I'm not playing that game. I'm a heavyweight. This is where I want to be. And so then he's saying, I want world title fights. He's saying, give me a world title fight. Get me in there. That's what I want. But then in the next breath, he said, in fact, you know what? There's a guy I like, a heavyweight I like. His name's Johnny Fisher. I want to give him a crack at the British title. And I thought, really? And so it's a big jump from world class to fighting Johnny Fisher. But don't sleep on Johnny Fisher. Johnny Fisher will make you work for your dinner. But I just think Richard is coming to his own. I like the shape he was. I like the pace he had. I like how he let his hands go. And I think he did an amazing job on TKV, considering the tear up he had with Fraser Clark before, and he's no question about the stoppage, no question about the performance, and now jumped up from cruiserweight up to heavyweight. He's got heavyweight intentions, ambitions. So for Richard Riakporhe, congratulations, another heavyweight fight in the bag. So let's move up the card. The chief support, Conor Benn against Prograis. Now Conor Benn. They expected what were you to expect from Conor Benn? Prograis had experience. He'd been there. Yes, he's I think he was 37 years old. Conor Benn went in there to get a job done. I thought he started very erratically. I thought he's still learning. I thought this young man needs to. He improves every fight. He looks back and thinks, what did I do wrong there? I think he's going to go back, look in the gym and think, right, I started at a pace that there was no method to the madness. I started at a pace that if it was anybody else that had taken advantage of that from round 5, 6 onwards. And it was a good pace that he maintained. He was successful up to 5 rounds without much comeback. Then when it got to 6th round, then Prograis, who was past his best, started to give him what for. I think Conor well and truly deserved it, and Conor will be getting slagged off. Why would he be getting slagged off? I asked myself. Because people expected more, but why would you expect more? Why would you? You know, this man's still learning, this man's still developing. Is it that 15 million sign-on fee that you expected more for? No, that was just a great business move. That's what he did. And he's put a lot of eyes on the prize. Last three times he's boxed, he's been at that stadium. So he's getting world-class attention, and he's not even a world-class fighter yet. So you've got to wait and see, let this boy grow, let him develop, and then have the conversation. Because this version of Conor, will he be a world champion today? No. But if you start shouting about it now, it might happen down the line. And so by the time it happens, he'll have had that experience. He'll be able to go back to the drawing board and say, I should have done this, I should have done that. So Conor, I commend him. I think he did really well. I think Conor has conducted himself correctly in regards to what's going on with the back and forth with Eddie and Cole. You know, he's not responded. He's done the right thing and taken himself off social media. I saw on Boxing King Media, they got an amazing insight speaking to Nigel, his dad. And Nigel really put it simply. Check it out on Boxing King Media. He just said, why did people not say this about Eddie when he left Sky and went to DAZN?
Nobody said nothing when Eddie, no disrespect to Eddie, but nobody said anything when Eddie left Sky Sports and went to DAZN.
Why did they not give Eddie a hard time when he took Ben Whittaker from Ben Shalom? This is business. And as I said, I saw Eddie sat there and he just looked like a jilted girlfriend. A bitter jilted girlfriend, but he was heartbroken. He was hurt because he probably thought, I thought you were my mate. And so that's business. It's just human emotion. That's how it was. Do I believe they'll work together again? Yes, I do. Do I believe Eddie's sincerely hurt? Yes, he is. I think he feels like he's got egg on his face. But Eddie likes to win. And that's important to him as well. But this is business. Frank Warren said it to me when I was under Frank Warren. I have to work with a lot of people I don't like, but this is business. So don't be surprised if you see these two in bed together again down the line. And I want to say a massive thank you to our show sponsor, New Plus. It's that you remember when you're younger, they had that 1% where you could burn the candle at both ends. You were out, your energy level was there. Now, New Plus and Nad Plus, what they've done is created a shot that gets delivered to your home that gives you that 1% back. You take it every day. I live on it. I've got a little fridge in my room, done. Check it out. Look at the links below, but have a look. Think about it. These guys are in Harrods, man. They're in Harrods, and they've decided to sponsor us. You know, what else could be more fitting? So check it out, New Plus. So let's get to the main fight, Tyson Fury against Makhmudov. Let's get there. Let's talk about that. I think Tyson Fury, the first quarter of the fight, he had to subdue, he had to smother, he had to make it hard for Makhmudov because his stats are the first, I think 17% of his fights have finished in the first 3 rounds. 13% of his fight have finished in 1 round. So, initially he's dangerous because he's big and strong. He's a big lump. Tyson Fury, I didn't expect Tyson Fury to lose that fight. I'd have been surprised if he stopped him, but I wasn't surprised if he outboxed him because his IQ is miles and streets ahead of Makhmudov. Makhmudov made it hard and awkward for Tyson, even though he'd been out the ring for however long on his 15,000 retirement stint. So Tyson got in there and got a job done. It wasn't smooth, wasn't pretty, but he got the job done. There are questions to be asked. So now you think about what his dad said and his family said, his brother, his wife, and everybody said, why are you boxing again? Why is he boxing again? Because that version of Tyson Fury, do I think that version of Tyson Fury becomes a world champion again? It depends on who the champion is. So right now, no. I think that version of Tyson Fury beats 70% of the fighters out there. Just 70%. So that invincibility, it's gone. That aura that he created, it's gone. The only mystery that is around Tyson now, as far as I'm concerned, is who'd win between him and AJ. That's the only mystery. So let's get on to AJ. Tyson won the fight on points. Well deserved, got the job done. Turkey El Sheikh before the show said it's a big announcement coming in, and it was a setup, and I'm quite sure AJ was prepared for that setup. Tyson Fury got the microphone like WWE. I want you, Anthony Joshua, in front of all these people, so we'll see who's ducking. What did Anthony do? I rate him for what he did, because most fighters, ego gets involved, thinking this man's not mugging me off in front of all these people. You get up and say blah, 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 you bite. AJ sat there and he just said, I'm your landlord. Me and you fight, I'll be on my terms. It doesn't matter what you say, what you shout about. And I said before the show, unless these two get in the ring and they're face to face and they both say it at the same time, this fight's never going to happen. Now, and at the time, I must admit, I was sat there and I'm saying to Spencer, man, he's got to get up, man, because they're going to rip him to death. And he didn't. He stayed there, cool. Eddie was there watching the back and forth like a game of tennis. And even though Eddie's his friend and Eddie, he's very close to AJ, I believe Eddie wants to fight. He wants to fight, but it's got to be AJ's decision. So if AJ said, I want to fight, Eddie's not going to say, you know what, son, no, don't do it. He wants to fight, but he can't be pushing him into it. He's got to wait for AJ to make that decision himself. AJ went down there as a boxing fan out of curiosity, and I'm quite sure he was asked to go there and represent. And he's probably in two minds whether or not he's going to box again, so he wants to feel as though, am I going to do this? But then I saw his interview with Anna Woolhouse afterwards, and that interview alone told me AJ is more half out than half in. The reason why? Because he kept it real. He said, I'm real. There's more important things in life. I had something horrendous happen to me 3-4 months ago, and makes me look at life differently. So, regardless of what he's saying and how he's trying to peer pressure me, not word for word, peer pressure me and put me in the pressure to say X, Y, Z, regardless of these 60,000 people and all these people watching on TV, you are not going to put me into under pressure to make a decision I'm not ready to make yet. So, as a fighter, with that fighter's fire in his belly, your ego gets the better of you. Like, nah, that's not happening. I'm not having it. And you're going to say something. AJ didn't. And he put everything into perspective to say there's bigger things than this in life. Which tells me he's more half out than half in regards to boxing. It tells me that he's not made his mind up yet. But it's leaning that way rather than that way in regards to what he'll decide to do with his career. And I rate him for doing that. Because, there's more important things in life. And I'm quite sure we all want it. Turkey El Sheikh and Tyson were trying to set that pressure pot up for him. Frank was stood next to Tyson. They were all looking down at AJ. AJ didn't bite. He didn't have it. He's not doing it. And I really respect the discipline, the patience, the thinking of how he dealt with that. And I think I hope he makes the right decision in regards to how his future looks and what he decides to do in our game. Of course, we'd all love to see the Fury fight, but there are bigger things at stake here. And AJ calmed the beast, calmed the Benn crowd down to say, no, this is how it's going to happen. And I think you couldn't have handled it any better, because 99% of us would have bit, and he didn't bite. He kept cool. And so good on you, AJ. I was proud of how you did it and how you handled it, and it was interesting to say the least. So, just a quick one. That boxing show has been invited to the Crosswise Festival. That's on July the 4th in Sheffield at the Playhouse. Now it's a live show, and it's an honour. For our podcast has been asked to say we want you to do a live show Saturday, July the 4th in Sheffield at the Playhouse, Crosswise, and so come check it out. If you check out the link below, you can get tickets. But it's a big deal. It's a live show. So you know that thing when I've said we want to get 10,000 subscribers and then it's going to be always a live show. It's come a little early, and so it'll be a live show at the Playhouse. Come check us out. Myself and Annie Nicholson, we will do our live show. We'll get some special guests in, and you can heckle, you can make noise, you can get involved. But I'm really looking forward to that in July. So please get involved. Before I forget. So I was in the train station. I'm coming through the train station. It's a big, massive, like Alice in Wonderland living room setup. A massive sofa, a big chair, big newspapers, everything. I'm like, what is this? It said Netflix on the side of it. And I looked and I went across and I thought, whoa, bless my soul. It was At Home with the Furies. You go in King's Cross Station, it is taking over the building. And I thought, wow. If you have not arrived, you have arrived now. And then you look and you think, this kid from Morecambe, Tyson Fury, whatever you do or don't do in your career, you've crossed over, son. Because this is entertainment. And people walking past looking at it was like a big theme park of At Home with the Furies. I think it's season 2 is out this week. And I think it's Sunday. Yeah, it came out today, Sunday. I think, you know what? Good on you. Right smile on my face. You know, this is worldwide, baby, on Netflix. And very proud of what you've done. Very proud of, away from boxing, very proud of how you've transformed your career and elevated your family to a level of exposure that is fun for you. You've made it look so simple. And I hope whatever goes on with your old man, it gets settled. Your dad's talking to you as a dad. Forget about all the noise, what all those idiots are saying. Your dad's talking to you as a dad that cares and loves about you. But I was very proud to see that in King's Cross. So that's me, Johnny Nelson, and that's that boxing show. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.